Hi everybody, welcome to Sandy Treasures. Today you are watching me complete one of the last scenes for my children's book, and this is all about environmental awareness for children. So there's a little story about a mermaid that is living in the dead ocean, and one of the last scenes of my mermaid is that she actually runs into this little nook that turns out to be one of the last natural springs in the Dead Sea. So basically the plastic pollution hasn't been really talked about as much as it should be, I think. And the new generation, like I said before, is going to have to contend with the plastic pollution legacy that has been left there for the last few decades, 50, 60 years. So that's a big deal. And the more the plastic, the longer the plastic has stayed in the ocean, the more it breaks down into smaller pieces. And now we have microplastics to contend with. The smaller the microplastics are, the more dangerous they become because it ends up in our food chain. So there's a lot of fish that actually eat plankton, that's how they survive, like the sardines, anchovies, herrings, the ocean sunfish. Okay, the manta ray will eat some plankton. It's not the only food source that it has. But anyway, let's say the smaller fish like the anchovies, right, that they actually are an excellent food source for other bigger fish and for ourselves. So if they're feeding off of microplastics and, you know, we're eating anchovies one way or another with our delicious Caesar salad, well, we're going to have some microplastics in there. And it's said that microplastics likes to get stored in our brain. I also understand that doing a water fast can actually eliminate that, and I recommend that you watch some of the videos from Dr. Eric Berg. I love how he explains the benefits of water fasting and also how to do it the proper way. But anyway, we're talking about art and we're talking about the environment, and you see how everything is connected to everything. Everything has like a domino effect. So I think it's very important that we start educating our children on what is it that we can do. Here in Florida, I understand that we have a ban on banning plastics, and I think that that is ridiculous. I think we need to be lifting that ban and doing something else, like, you know, making sure that the plastics, especially for single-use plastics, that are biodegradable, because we're not really doing a good job when it comes to recycling. So this is the whole motivation that I have for writing this children's book. Every time I showed one of my paintings, this particular one, people were, and I would tell a little story, people would say, oh my God, you got to write a children's book. And they would like be crying too. So I'm not trying to make people cry, but I think that when it comes to the environment, I think we need to put a lot more awareness into the subject, and we need to stop pretending that they are doing such a fabulous job with recycling, because they're not. And plastics affect us in so many ways, and the smaller they turn, the harder it is to pick up and the more of an issue. I was very surprised to find out that we are eating about the equivalent of a credit card worth of plastics, and they like not only our brain, but they do like to store in our liver and other organs, which it kind of makes sense. But this is not cool, you know, because it actually messes with other health, you know, aspects that we may be encountering right now. So the fish are eating it, the little fish are eating it, the big fish are eating the little fish that are eating the microplastics. I mean, it's a domino effect. And I do congratulate two companies that I really like. I think that they're doing an amazing job at picking up garbage and that plastic pollution legacy that we have in our ocean. And those are the two companies that I like the most, are The Ocean Cleanup and For Ocean. These guys are doing the dirty work, and there's a lot of countries that are still, you know, taking their dump trucks and just dumping it straight into rivers that are actually connected to the ocean. And of course, when it rains really hard, that's when we get all this garbage right into our ocean. I'm very happy to hear about some countries that have been cleaning up their mess. I don't know if they've been keeping it clean. I remember watching a video on how Jamaica, you know, they had polluted their shore so bad that fishermen could not really fish right there. They had to go deep in the sea, like a good 2-3 miles, you know, whatever it is, that they had to go, but they could not fish on their own shores because they were like inundated with trash. And I don't know how people can allow that in the first place, because it really doesn't take much to realize that the contamination of plastics in our water is dangerous, and our food source is dangerous, and our grounds is dangerous, and every aspect is dangerous. So that is the reason why I wrote this book. I'm doing my own art because I don't want any AI involved in my art. I'm going to correct myself. The only time I use AI is for reference, because they are doing a great job at making compositions. You know, let's say if I want to have a mermaid with a turtle, you know, then I can see. But I normally, what I do when it comes to painting, you know, of course, I'm going to use some kind of reference. So what I do is a lot of times I have a few pictures, you know, like 4 or 5, and I may be painting one element off of one picture and another element off of another picture, but it's all painted by hand. I'm not tracing anything because I actually enjoy the exercise of doing my own artwork without tracing, because I kind of like to see where I am on the artistic level. You know, can I pull this off? So the only times I trace nowadays is really if somebody commissions me to do a portrait. And even those, you know, if they say I don't want it to be exact, then I'll go ahead and do it freehand. If they allow me to do a doll version of their portrait, like I do a lot of times with these, then I will go ahead and just do a freehand and try to get the certain features, you know, so that way they can say that it is them. So I tend to, you know, make the eyes a little bit bigger and make the head a little bigger and just make it cuter. You know, that's my tendency. Anyway, so I'm excited about writing this environmental awareness children's book. I don't think we have enough fun environmental awareness children's books out there. And my plan is to make it beautiful, but very informative at the same time. And that's that pretty much. You know, this is all I have for today. So it's another scene for my children's book. And thank you so much for watching this show. If you have any questions, you know, leave them in the comments. If I can help you with anything, let me know. Or if there's some topic that you're a little bit more interested, now that I'm writing a children's book, you want to know what I'm going through, because that's going to happen. So if you have any specifics, put them in the comments. Alrighty, thank you so much for watching. Bye.